Okay, so now we're moving on to subtraction. So we still need to set out this type of question in columns, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've done that. Now, subtraction, it's a little bit different to addition. It's still basically the same principle, but we need to borrow numbers from other columns. So I'll explain to you what that means in just a bit. So we'll go ahead and we'll start subtracting. So we start from the right over here. So 1 minus 0 is 1. Okay, so the next column, in the hundredths column, we have 4 minus 5. Now the top number is less than the bottom number here. Right, so we don't want to go ahead and say 4 minus 5 is negative 1. We don't want to do that. So what we need to do, if the top number is less than the bottom number, we need to borrow 1 from the next column. So what we do is we cross out the first top number on the next column. We borrow 1 from the 6, and we put that 1 that we've borrowed next to the number 4. So now this number 4 turns into the number 14. Okay? But before we go ahead and minus 5 from 14, we just want to put in the number 5 here so we don't forget. So remember, we borrowed 1 from the 6 and we put it over next to the number 4. So that means that 6 minus 1 is 5. So 5 is left on this side. So we'll go ahead and we'll minus from here. So 14 minus 5 equals 9. Okay, so next column is the tens column. So we'll go ahead now and we'll try minus 5 from 8. But again, the top number is less than the bottom number here. So once again, we need to borrow 1 from the next column over here. So we cross out the number 2 over here, we borrow 1 from there, and we put it next to the 5. So now the 5 turns into a number 15. And making sure we remember to put in what's left on that side over there, which is 1. So 15 minus 8 is 7. Now we put in the decimal point directly underneath the ones above, and we come over to the ones column or the units column, and we have 1 minus 0 is 0. So your final answer should be 1.791. So as you can see, subtraction, it's a little bit more challenging, only because you have to borrow numbers from the other columns. But if you know how to do that, again, the rest is pretty easy. Okay, once again, we have some more questions to test your knowledge. So this is part of your homework, so I want you to do all of question 6, all of question 7, and all of question 8 on page 221. Now, I will do one of these to help you with the other ones, so I will do question J with you on the next slide. Okay, so as you can see here, I've arranged the numbers again in columns the way they should be. So now I can go ahead and start subtracting. So again, I start over here on the right. So I ask 0 minus 4. Well, again, the top number is less than the bottom number, so I need to borrow from the next column. So I borrow 1 from the 2, so that makes the 2 a 1, and that makes the 0 now a 10. So 10 minus 4 equals 6. Okay, so we move over to the next column. 1 minus 9, again the top number is less than the bottom number, So I need to borrow 1 from the next column. So I'll borrow 1 from the next column. That makes the 6 a number 5. And I put the 1 next to the next number. That makes it 11. So 11 minus 9 is 2. Okay, I move back over to the next column. 5 is bigger than the bottom number, so I can just go ahead and say 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, same thing with the next column. The top one is bigger than the bottom one. 5 minus 0 is 5. I've got the decimal point already there. So I move over to the next column in the ones or the units. Now here, the 0 is bigger than the smaller than the 6, so I need to borrow 1 from over here. So I cross this 0 out, and I use that one I've borrowed and I put it next to this column here, so now the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay, now with this one, I've borrowed 1 actually from this one as well, because this is a 0, so I have to go over to the next place value. So I've actually borrowed 1 from over here, so that makes this one a 0 and this 0 here a 9. Okay, so now I've just got 9 minus 8 is 1. So your final answer should be 14.5326.